Hi, I'm Dave. I'm going to lead you through this module of the seated positions and the cueing and the alignments. So what you will need during these sequences is a yoga belt and a yoga block, because what I'd like to do is firstly show you the posture itself, the asana itself, but then show you how you would maybe teach that to a beginner or somebody with tight hips. Okay, so if you can make sure you've got your yoga block and your yoga belt, we'll get started. Child pose. So one of my favorite poses, I'd imagine it's one of everybody's favorite poses, because it's one of them lovely resting poses that you get to have in your practice. It's really good, and there's lots of little variations of the child pose that you can do as well, so I shall take you through them. Again, sometimes a block is good because people can be tight in the knees, so sitting up on a block can just enable them to do the pose a little bit better, but we'll keep the block there. So child pose is, you can come to child. The good thing about child pose is that you can come to child pose from all sorts of positions. So you can be doing cat-cow, and then you can just come back into a child pose. You can be doing downward facing dog, and you just drop the knees and come into a child pose. So it's one of them poses that's a resting pose that's easy to get to a lot of the time. And it's also a pose that if you've got somebody come to your class and maybe you don't know, the level of their yoga, whether they've done yoga or not, and maybe the class gets a little bit cardio in one point, this is the pose that they go down to rest, and then let them join back in whenever they get the rest. But if you point that out to your students at the beginning of the class, if you ever need to rest in the class, hit child pose, breathe it out, feel, and then when you're ready, you just join back into the class. Because it happens a lot, don't forget, you're somebody who's doing regular yoga now. You're going to be teaching, you're going to be doing regular classes, so your own natural fitness level sort of goes up. And in your mind, you can think you're still somebody who does a bit of yoga, but you're not. You're somebody who does quite a lot of yoga now. So, and you can be progressing without even realizing. So, this is a great pose to say, look, if you need to take a breather, child pose, rest it out. So the reason why you might need a block is some people are quite tight in the knees, so and the ankles here, so kind of getting their sit bones back to their heels, they might be quite high, so they might be able to sort of just sit onto a block like this, and that takes some of the tension out of the knees, and then they can come down and make a little pillow for the head like this. But if you can do that, you can have the toes under like this as well, so because a lot of people are very tight in the ankles here. It's down to the shoes that we wear and things like that, but again, it can be like really tight, so people can maybe stay there only for a little period of time. But what you do want to do is you want to open your knees wide enough to let your torso go between. So if your legs are like this, you're going to squash down onto your legs, and it makes you feel trapped. So you want the knees open wide enough for your torso to be able to fit between, because what you want is the belly to completely relax. So you're not lifting the belly in or engaging bandhas or anything in this pose. It's a relaxation pose. So the point of it is to let go, relax, connect with your breath, and that sensation of yoga that is happening inside you in that moment. Okay, and so the toes are nearly together, knees are open, I'm relaxed down onto my heels, and then all I want to do is fall forward. So we have different variations of it. What I mean by that is you can have a child pose where the arms are stretched out in front like this, and the head comes down to the floor, but the tummy is totally relaxed. So if you were doing this one, you're encouraging the shoulders here to open up as well. So yes, it's a relaxing pose, but at the same time, I'm getting this opening up here in the shoulders. People are very tight in the shoulders like this. So this can be good. The arms forward, and then as they relax, you see how that opens up, that joint, and it opens up into here, and then the head would just come down to the floor. Another option would be to make a pillow for your head like this. But if you're going to hold this for a few breaths, you want to turn your head to the other side halfway through, because you get this little pricky thing in the neck. And my particular favourite is I like to fold forward, so I want my armpits really to come past my knees, so I can roll my shoulder down and bring my hands around like this. This is my particular favourite, but each to their own. They're all the child pose, they're all a relaxation pose. And then halfway through, you turn your head. And then inhale, come up. So, and again, this leads you into many things. Once you've had your child pose, you can come back up onto all fours. You could do Anahata Asana, or thread the needle from that pose. You can go back to a down dog. So it's a great little pose that's easy to lead to other poses. So it can be put into part of your sequence, but you know, say it's halfway through the vinyasa, so you do all one thing on the right hand side, but you might have a child pose in the middle just to rest, and then you would go to down dog and then step to the other side. So there's a rest, but it's not really breaking up your flow, it's just creating an experience. So child pose is a good pose, and it's a great yin pose, it's a great resting pose, and it really gives you a feeling of just being nice and letting go. So there we have it, child pose. Namaste.